For your lab assignment, you're going to be creating 3 exercises. I'm still giving you some help here by telling you what you need to create. In future lab assignments, you're not going to get quite as much help. I'm not going to give you starter code, but I will still tell you what you need to do in the program. So for this, what you're going to do is create a new project. And so we'll go ahead and do that. And it's a console application. And so this is going to be called Chapter 2 EX1. And I've already done this a couple times. So I am going to, you have to make the name unique. So I'm just going to put an A on the end. Or actually, let me see if I put it in the 110 folder. I'm going to change directories here. Okay, so if down here, it will tell you if you've already created it. Also, if you click on next, it'll tell you. But I have not put one in the 110 folder. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. You're going to use the framework, whatever the most current framework is for long-term support. And then put a check next to do not use top level statements and hit create. Okay, and then what you're going to do is go back out and you can actually drag right over this and we can copy it. We'll go back into our program, highlight what's there, and you can right click and paste, or you can press Control and the letter V. Okay, so for this one, after the comment, you'll press Enter. All right, so we need a whole number for the hours worked. And this is where we're prompting them. So this is a right line statement. And if you're using Visual Studio, you can just press Tab and tab right over the ghosted text, and it will accept that text so you don't have to type it. So please enter the hours worked. Okay, and then we have to create an integer variable named hours, and we have to read in the data from the console. So we're going to say int hours equals int dot parse. And you'll notice that this is such a smart IDE that it has actually kind of ghosted the rest of the code that I need. So I'm just going to press tab right over that and press enter. Now, remember, it's giving you the squiggle here because it is possible for them to, enter non-hours, like a 0 or something. So if you want to allow for a null value or 0, you just put the little question mark in, and that takes care of it. Okay, and then we are directed to add another prompt. And so you are basically going to continue through here and finish off the program. In the last set of comments here, you need to use string interpolation. And you want to print this. And the numbers need to be formatted to display 2 decimal places. Okay, so you're also going to have to use string.format. Now, to refresh your memory, I actually am giving you a little reminder and an example here of how to do string interpolation. And I am giving you an example of how you can use both string interpolation and string dot format within the same write line, which is exactly what you need to do. So here I've got several values and I'm doing something similar. So I've got the values, I've got some equations, and I want to write the data out with my formatted output. And so the way you have to do that is you start with, your string interpolation. And then when you get to the point where you want the value that needs to be formatted, when you get to that point, you have to kind of close off the interpolation with a double quote, use the concatenator, and then do string dot format. And then in the parentheses, you are going to pass it the format you want to use. And for money, I am using currency with 2 decimals. This is the default format. Then I've got a comma, and this is the value I want to print. Okay. And then after the string dot format, I need another concatenator because there's more that I want to print out. Okay. And then I follow that up with another string interpolation symbol and another set of double quotes. This is the text I want to print out. And then I've got another number that needs to be formatted. So I have to end the string interpolation, use the concatenator, and use string dot format. Okay. And then finally, I have additional text. So again, concatenator, interpolation symbol, and then in double quotes, what I want printed. Okay. And this is how that little write line would look. And you need to do something similar in this assignment. Okay. So for this, hours can be kind of left as is. You don't have to format that, but you will have to use string dot format for salary, and you will also have to use string dot format for average hourly pay. If you run into problems, and you'll know because your program is not going to run properly, you need to ask for help. Do not turn it in if it is wrong. Okay. And then once your program runs without errors, you can submit the assignment as directed by your instructor. And my students will need to put the program into the Dropbox. Exercise 2. You're going to create a new program called Chapter 2, Exercise 2. And again, you will be copying the code. You may end up having to do copying and pasting in 2 steps, but this is the code that you need to copy and paste. And this one is going to be a little easier because once they enter all of the data, then this is what you need to print out. And that can be done all in one console dot write line with one string interpolation. To get this save room for cake on a separate line, remember you can include the /n in your string interpolation statement. So how would that look? Well, let's see. I'm lazy typist, so I'm gonna copy this. And then I'm gonna also copy and paste this. Okay, so I can just get rid of those double quotes. And we're going to stick this into a console.write line. Put the dollar in, put the closing parenthesis in and a double quote. And there you go. Now, if you don't like such a long line, oops, and I forgot to do the carriage return. Carriage return should go here. And that is the /n. Okay, and it's important to use the correct slash. Don't use the one for division. Okay, /n is the carriage return, and that will give us this output on 2 lines. Now, if you don't like having this long string on your monitor, perhaps the right side you can't see anymore, you can actually split this into another line if you want. It's just at the point where you split, and it doesn't really matter where that is, you will add the closing double quote, and then you're going to add a concatenator. Press enter, and then you do the dollar and an opening double quote there, and now your code is split on 2 lines. So this kind of comes down to coding preference. There's really not a right or wrong way to do this. For me, quite often, I do split apart my write line statements for readability purposes. And if there are examples in the book, I did that on purpose so that the text could be normal size. It wouldn't be tiny. Okay, but this comes down to coding style and coding preferences. This third exercise is similar to a character input example, and I've actually linked the example here for you to review. And yes, we can go ahead and take a look at this. This is something you're familiar with. This is that movie example. And what we're doing here, we are not doing a movie. We are doing something with music. Okay, so it is similar in concept. So you can actually use the example as kind of a model, but you're going to prompt the user to enter the name of a song they like. You're going to read that in and store it as a string. You're going to prompt the user to enter the name of the band. You're going to read that in and store it. So let me pull this down so you can see how similar this is. So here we wanted the name of the movie. There we're asking for the name of the song and the band. We want the genre of music. And you're going to provide 1 character choices. You're going to read the genre in from the console, and you will convert it to a single character. Okay, and so that is very, very similar, if not identical, to what we did here with the movie rating. Then you're going to prompt the user for how many times they've listened to the song. You're going to read in the value stored as an integer, and then you're going to display the output back to the user with string interpolation. And this is an example. Next week, when we learn about selection structures, we are actually going to open this up and change it. And instead of just writing out the genre as a single letter, we are actually going to write it out as a word. Okay, but that does require using a selection structure, which we have not learned yet. And so that is the last exercise.